You're listening to the Tri-State's Best Contemporary Christian Station, WFRSCC 88.3 FM. Welcome to another episode of Balancing It Out. I'm here today with fellow student Dillan Gault. He's here to talk to us a little bit about Lent, and which is kind of a hot topic right now, considering we are in the season of Lent. So welcome, Dillan. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Taylor. I'm glad to be here on Effect 88.3 Franciscan Christian Radio.
Oh, yeah. So one of the questions that I kind of had is, first off, congratulations is in order because you will be getting baptized at the Easter Vigil this year. So that's kind of exciting. One of the rare Catholics that actually gets to remember their baptism. Those are few and far between. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, are you excited?
Oh, I'm excited for sure. It's actually interesting to see how excited others are in my position that they see me in. I thank God for allowing me to go this far in this journey. It's been a long ride coming from some of the perspectives I've had in the past, and to seeing the truth for what it actually is, and being able to become one with Christ. It's amazing, actually.
Yeah, it's like I've heard the phrase a lot, especially growing up, the coming home phrase for a lot of people. So I feel like that. Do you feel like that phrase rings true a lot when talking about becoming Catholic?
Coming home. See, I never thought those two words would be one with me becoming Catholic, that's for sure. But I definitely feel like I am home. I feel like this is something that's like inside everyone's heart, even if they don't understand it truly. And myself, from a subjective perspective, yes, I feel like I'm home.
That's awesome. So we're in the season of Lent, which is the 40-day penitent season. We kind of get to be one with Jesus' suffering in the desert. Just as someone who's experiencing kind of the fullness of the faith for the first time, how are you approaching Lent this year? Had you known about it beforehand? Is it a little different now? Like, what are your thoughts on Lent?
My thoughts on Lent, from a past perspective, it was always like seeing everyone, like those half Catholics that I knew that were like, oh, look what I'm going to do, and then 2 weeks later they're like, oh, look what I didn't do. But now I see here, gaining the perspective, like, it's interesting how Lent really is something that you keep to yourself. It's something that you want to drop as a worldly desire, and seeing everyone go through it and really push each other to, pray, keep the meals, without eating meat. It's really cool to see that everyone wants to give up, give up part of themselves because that's what you need to do. But yeah, it's really cool to see when everyone wants to grow stronger with Christ.
Right. Yeah, I know a lot of people, like when you're a kid, especially growing up Catholic, I was like, Lent means Mom puts a blanket over the TV and we can't watch TV for 40 days, or, oh great, Ash Wednesday, we only get to eat once today and I have to eat fruit every other time. It's interesting though when you get older for Lent to become kind of more personal. I think one of the coolest things that I ever heard about it was it's not necessarily giving something up, sometimes it's just taking something on. Which a parish priest of mine, shout out to Father Jim Parker, even though I don't know if he actually listens to this. He was like, yeah, sometimes it's about giving stuff up, but then you can also take stuff on. You can also take on a holy hour, take on maybe talking to someone that would otherwise drive you up a wall, hold off a conversation with them, don't really say what's on your mind when talking to said person. Which really rang true for me, because I always struggled with giving stuff up, especially in college. It's like, fasting isn't that hard, because I don't have time to eat.
Or the money. So.
Or the money. But yeah, so going into as much detail as you're comfortable, obviously, what kind of led you to Franciscan to then becoming Catholic?
Oh, shoot. Well, growing up, my mom, she was Catholic. She taught me the prayers. Mm-hmm. So I always kept a prayer life. I always believed, almost not falsely, but just not fully. Mm-hmm. I didn't know the full understanding of what had occurred and what is occurring. So I didn't know how to actually, be excited about it, live fuller in that, try to spread that word. before I got here, I was in a really dark place. No details really, it doesn't matter. But, and I was searching, and I had just gave up. I didn't really want to search anymore. But at that point, it was something came to find me, and that was Christ. And He came and found me in my darkest moments, and He showed me love that I didn't want to, wasn't able to show myself, wasn't seeing from other people, feeling from other people at that moment in my life. And I mean, I've grown up in the Valley, never thought I would be at Franciscan, and now here I am. It's a journey that I am ecstatic that God has led me to. He's doing great things in my life through prayer, through gaining understanding in the Word. I'm becoming more fuller in Him, and now it's just trying to, let Him lead me to not only love Him, but love others as He would want me to love others. I can become a better person in this world that seems so dark and gray at times.
Yeah, like that light in the darkness for sure. Which, I heard a quote, I think it was Jose Maria Escriva, and again, I hear most of my quotes in movies because I'm not much, I should be more of a spiritual reader. I have my one little spiritual book that I think I've read cover to cover 4 times, but I don't really branch out from there. But the movie There Be Dragons literally opened with a quote on the screen that just said, every sinner, every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future. Which I was just like, okay, hold up. Hold up. So that, really rang true, I feel like. And one of the things that I think the Catholic community can always improve on is the evangelization that we do. A lot of the times I feel like, and if you, agree or disagree, let me know, but I feel like we don't really want to talk to people about the church unless they're going to 100% agree with us right away.
And I think, going with what you just said, I don't think that's a good thing.
Right.
I believe that if you're true to what you're believing in and you're living this lifestyle that is, what you think is true. Like when you live a lifestyle for something, that's deep. That's you, and you're beyond yourself in Christ. I think that you should be so grounded in that you should not be afraid of anything coming at you. Right. No word spoken against you can defeat you, because you're not speaking a word that's actually yours. You're speaking a word that's the absolute truth, something so far beyond us that nothing can challenge it. So I feel, as the perspective, as you were saying, the Catholic Church not coming out and trying to evangelize, it's a downfall. They sit. It's not everyone, but most of the time it's they're sitting in the castle up on the hill, and they're praying, which is a great thing. Prayer is awesome. That's what I've been told. That's what they do. But I see it from a Jesuit perspective, where they go out and they went to the edges of the world, and they go into the communities where no one even has a clue what's going on with Christ. They live in poverty-stricken areas, or they're worshiping crazy paganistic demons, and they go into those areas and they challenge them. St. Patrick, even St. Ignatius Loyola in the future, when he was doing some of the stuff I've learned from that. It's those men and women throughout history, St. Teresa of Calcutta, the ones that go to where the help is needed, that make a difference in my eyes. And I think that's beautiful. We have a word here that's a light that could change it. It has changed everything, will change everything, and can change everything.
Yeah, because prayer without works, it's dead. It wasn't my dad's original phrase, but I heard it for the first time and most consistently from him. And something that I think I've learned, because I didn't come to Franciscan right off the bat. I worked full-time for a while. And you can't live in the Catholic bubble.
Oh, right.
Because you're going to encounter people who are doing the exact opposite of everything the church has ever taught you. But that doesn't make them bad people.
Not at all. No.
If they know what they're doing is wrong and they're choosing to do it anyway, that's different. Where they're like, yeah, I know that I shouldn't be doing this, that, and the other. But who cares? It's all. Then you're like, okay, well, listen, here's the deal. But especially when evangelizing to people, to challenge them right off the bat against something that's kind of been their truth for their entire life, it's kind of a turnoff. I know that I've been evangelized to by other religions, And they kind of start with that, especially those ones that would come knocking on your door and be like, hey, listen,
Jehovah's Witnesses.
Everything you've ever done in your life is wrong, and this book will tell you why. I remember one of the times we had a Jehovah's Witness come to the door, and he offered the book to my dad, and my dad said, all right, I will take that if you take one of mine. And he was like, I'm sorry, what? And my dad said, I will take your book and read it if you take my copy of the Bible and read it. And I think it was the first time in history that a Jehovah's Witness was uncomfortable and wanted to leave. But especially, so you've been here a year? Or is this your second semester?
This is my second semester.
Do you feel like when you came on campus encountering the students for the first time, what was that like? Was there certain aspects that were very welcoming? Were there certain aspects that you're like, oh boy, what am I doing here?
Yes, there was both of those aspects. I come from a group of friends that we're like a rough riding crew in a sense. Like, we just kind of did things like how a man would do it, And then,
Regular John Wayne.
Yeah, being all tough when you aren't really that tough. But when you come on campus, everyone here is, on fire for the faith is what I've heard the quote as, and you can see it. It's overwhelming at times. There's those very charismatic individuals that kind of like, okay, you're overdoing it. But once you understand why they're overdoing it, I give kudos to them because, they're feeling, they're having a feeling in them that's elated them. And whatever's good, if you feel good, do it. Like, as long as you're not, hurting others or hurting yourself, that's awesome. And Franciscan's very welcoming, very understanding. You learn a lot. The teachers here are great. The students here are great. It's been a good experience. Sometimes it's overwhelming, but I've gotten used to it. That's for sure. Definitely
with the charismatic. I remember feeling that way at my first Festival of Praise, which was last semester. And I came from a Latin Mass family. Like, we go to Latin Mass on Sunday. We also did the Novus Ordo, but I was always a more interior person. So to see like these people just being able to be so openly charismatic without fear of judgment was just overwhelming. I remember the first time I actually felt compelled to put a hand up, and I'm like, what is happening? It was short-lived, unfortunately. That's something I gotta work on. But yeah, it is at first glance you're like, okay, listen, you're at a 9, I need you to bring it to a 5 and then lower. But then you kind of really get a sense of how lucky they are that they can feel things that intensely and that openly. But yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, I agree. Like, we had RCIA meeting every Tuesday, and we had one this past Tuesday. Drake McAllister, shout out to him. He's taught me a lot. He was telling everyone, whatever you're comfortable with during adoration. You can stay seated, you can stay prostrated, on your knees. If you want, put your hands up. And he explained what the whole putting your hands up was. I always thought, it's just like, hey, look at me, like that's pretty much what I took it as. But he said, when my kids were young and they ran up to me and they wanted to embrace me, they put their hands up and they wanted me to grab them and pick them up. And he says, when you're putting your hands up, it's like you're looking to God to embrace you. You're looking to your Father to take you in. You're at a complete surrendering state. When someone holds a gun to you and you put your hands up, that's surrendering. You're done. You're over. So you're surrendering yourself in that position, and that's just like, he told me that, I was like, dang man, that's huge. That's really like hit me key on why that occurrence happens. You're freeing your heart up to God. And
mind equals blown. Holy cow. Which kind of leads me into my next question, is how your RCIA experience has been at Franciscan, kind of like for all those students who might think about coming here, but they think it's just for Catholics. How would you rate your experience in RCIA?
RCIA has been great.
Yeah.
I came into Franciscan, as I said before, with different viewpoints on everything. And I came at Drake McAllister and his crew with questions that I was ready to just, like go at him with. And Drake handled them. He's a very good person. And he taught me a lot. We go every week at first. We would do each topic. we would do like per se the covenants, or we would do Moses, or we would do, Genesis. We'd go to each one and explain them, show Bible verses that would explain it. They had a cool little booklet with everything explained. I've learned more through RCIA than ever before, combined with some classes and just like my own study. But yes, it's helped me deepen the understandings of why occurrences happen in the Catholic Church.
Wow. Yeah, well, that's fantastic. And I want to thank you sincerely for coming on and sharing these experiences with us. And congratulations early on the baptism. For all you students who are going to be on campus during Easter season, Easter Vigil is where Dylan and a few fellow brothers and sisters here in Franciscan will be entering into the Communion of Saints. So come on down. I haven't been to an Easter Vigil here yet, but I've been told by several alumni and current students that it's beautiful. So if you're a freshman, first year, and you're staying local, come to the Easter Vigil. See your peers get baptized and experience the resurrection of Christ. So thank you so much for coming on, Dylan. I really appreciate having you on here.
Oh, I appreciate you having me on here. Thank you again. Thank you for everyone who's been on the journey with me to, get into Eastern Vigil. God bless our student body and our teachers, and wish the best for everyone going through midterms right now. Keep going. This semester's not over yet, so we got stuff to do.
Dude, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That's a winning segment right there.